guess you wonder where I've been. I was trying to figure out these thumbnails. That's it. But I'm back. I'm better than ever. Let's get into it. 5 times when Nate Diaz went into berserk mode. I feel like whatchamacallit, Conor McGregor, low key could have won, but it's whatever. It is what it is.
My weight class, 55 and 70.
55's Khabib.
Okay.
70's Kamaru Usman.
Okay.
I mean, it'd be nice.
I feel like I'm just better and cooler than those guys. What the hell do I want to fight them for? Pettis is cooler than both of them, fight-wise. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Nate Diaz, with no exaggeration, is the main gangster of the entire UFC and a father of mixed martial arts. In his time,
probably a speech impediment, but like, I don't know.
This guy, like nobody else, showed by his example what a fighter who never chased the fame and attention of the public can achieve. He took a vivid and bloody path, in the end of which he ultimately achieved world star status. Recently, it was announced that Nate will face the YouTube celebrity Jake Paul in boxing. And
what? Huh? I need to watch this.
Many had time to write the legendary Stocktonian off. And we would like to remind you who that Nate Diaz guy is. Please don't forget about the likes, comments with forwards, and subscribe to the channel. Here we go.
Ain't no way he fought.
Number 5, Tony Ferguson. As paradoxical as it may sound,
here's one thing you need to do before buying anything online. Don't spend another dime on Amazon until you watch.
We would like to start this compilation with Nate Diaz's last fight in his professional career. On September the 10th of 2022, the legendary Stocktonian was supposed to share the octagon with Khamzat Chimaev. At that moment, Diaz hadn't fought around 15 months, and the bout with Boers was the last one on the current contract. The fight was set to be held at Las Vegas Arena in the main event of UFC 279.
I feel like the UFC, it's kind of limited for me, you know, and I wanted to reach fucking higher goals, higher objectives, and do bigger stuff than this. And under the UFC umbrella, it's like you're, like I said, you're limited. You can only go so far, and like I said, it's only halftime show. It's time to blow past everybody here and the organization, and even if it involved in me staying in or getting out, I'm gonna do something bigger than I've ever done as soon as this is done. Bigger than this, bigger than whatever's in the past also.
As you remember, the Chechen prospect changed his plans at the very last minute due to missing weight by a couple of pounds. The organization had to make a little shuffle and replace him with another legendary veteran in the face of Tony Ferguson.
I'm gonna be real. I mean, you gotta be ready for anything that's out here. In the back, it was kind of crazy. I had my popcorn and my shades. I'm just kind of interested in what's going on. Told everybody to shut the F because nobody was gonna do anything. And really nothing really bad happened out there. Security was excellent. Nate, it was funny because he was right there yelling at somebody, and I go up to him and was like, hey, do you want a mint? I just random, just to kind of be just that guy. And he did his whatever he had to do, and he comes back over, he's like, hey, you got a mint? So,
El Cucuy was supposed to fight Li Jingliang. However, he accepted to face Nate Diaz in the main event.
Tony's been around a long time. We should have fought a long time ago. Khabib was afraid of him, just like this ass motherfucker was afraid of me yesterday. We punked his ass in the back here, and now he don't know how to make weight, you know what I'm saying? You guys already know what it is. Real G's come from California, America, motherfucker.
In his last professional MMA fight, Nate Diaz walked out majestically and fought Tony in the waddle manner for more than 15 minutes. He outstruck him with no issues and made him shoot for the legs already in the middle of the 4th round. A timely and tight guillotine earned Diaz farewell fireworks in the form of a win in this fight. The Stocktonian gangster became the first man in history to make El Cucuy tap in surrender.
Wow. Wow.
Number 4. Jim Miller. We move on. Next we have the fight that happened in May of 2012. At that time, a young Stocktonian had been competing in the main promotion for more than 5 years. He had a record of 16 wins and 7 losses and had time to headline 3 fight night tournaments. After the win over Cowboy, Jim Miller was thrown under Diaz's bus. At that time, the American fighter was a top representative of the lightweight division. His resume consisted of 21 wins and 3 losses, and he won 8 out of his last 9 fights. In his best years, Jim Miller had an elite level of ground game, so not many wanted to fight him by their own will. However, Nate did not care. The fight was targeted as the main event for UFC on Fox 3. It had a contender status, as the winner would come straight at the champion of the world in the face of Benson Henderson.
I know I train harder than anybody in the UFC, so the mission at hand right now is Jim Miller.
Khabib. That's all I think about when he just said that.
I know I train harder than anybody in the UFC, so
Khabib.
the mission at hand right now is Jim Miller, and I'm here to complete it, take him out.
Despite the expectations of many, a young gangster from Stockton pulled off another big upset. He worked out prime Jim Miller and was multiple levels above him. Already by the 4th minute of the second round, Nate beat all the crap out of his opponent's head and forced him to jump for the legs. A timely guillotine did its job, and Diaz became the first man who managed to finish Jim Miller.
I'll fight whoever wants to fight, whoever they want me to fight.
In 2016, Jim Miller gave an interview to MMA Fighting where he shared his thoughts on the fight with Nate Diaz after 4 years and his impressions about the Stocktonian's skills. Nate is also bigger than he looks. He's just one of those guys who, he's not super built, he's not super muscular, but he's strong. He's a very solid individual. I remember clinching up with him and he was clearly the bigger man. There are only a handful of guys who have fought where it just felt like fighting a 170 pounder or 185 pounder. He was one of those guys. It felt like I was fighting a guy who didn't belong in my weight class. Many say that Diaz hasn't beaten any top fighters besides Conor McGregor, but at that time Jim Miller was in the top 5 of the division. So checkmate, haters, and that's just the beginning of our list. Number 3. Michael Johnson. By December of 2015, the Stocktonian Warrior was looking to come back after a year-long layoff. In his fight, he lost to Rafael dos Anjos via decision and decided to take a small break. At the 17th event of UFC on Fox, Diaz entered the octagon to face Michael Johnson. At that time, the resumes of both fighters were almost identical, 17-9 for Michael and 18-10 for Nate. But despite that, Johnson was a bigger favorite in the public's eyes, and on paper, the Stocktonian was given almost 0 chances to win.
Why back at 155 and not 170?
That's just the way things worked out. They gave me a list of names at 170, and it was like never heard of any of them. Michael Johnson's ranked number 5. He's a better option than the other ones.
How are you going to react when he starts talking smack to you, egging you on and things like that?
Right
you like
here,
that?
right there, that smile right there. Yeah, that motivates me. If he's doing that, then I know he's not focused on the fight. He's focused on talking trash and getting in my head, and that means he's losing once he starts doing that. So that means a job well done for me.
Another appearance of the Stocktonian gangster in the octagon produced new ideas for big headlines featuring Diaz's last name, because Nate broke all the expectations once again and completely outclassed Michael Johnson in every aspect. After the break, he came back stronger and showed a true masterclass. The Stocktonian 1-2 literally dismantled Michael to pieces and put Nate in the top 5 of the lightweight division.
I felt like I was okay the whole fight. Then the last minute, something happened where I got hit right here and my eye got blurred, so I switched this way for a second. So it's a little weird thing, but nothing that was devastating or anything crazy.
Number 2. Anthony Pettis. After the Stocktonian Warrior pulled off one of the biggest upsets in the history of the sport, which we will talk about later, he took a 3-year-long break. In August of 2019, Nate Diaz came back into the game. This time he shared the cage with a former world champion in the face of Showtime Anthony Pettis. This bout was held in the co-main event of the evening at UFC 241.
And hard, I'm just here to do my job. I'm here to get the job done.
I feel like I'm a natural fighter right now. I'm not doing a weight cut and then trying to fight. I actually made weight without even with training. But this is the fight I wanted. I wanted the Diaz fight for so long. I wanted to fight him in his hometown. I don't even care. Like I cannot wait to go show the world what's up.
And again, the impudent son of Stockton got into a situation where he was looked at as an underdog in the eyes of the fans after a layoff, even in comparison to Anthony Pettis, who was already past his prime. However, we already know that Nate loves to break stereotypes and speculations about his skills, and this time he showed it once again. After 3 years off, Nate returned to the octagon and simply obliterated the number 7 ranked welterweight.
Those are the kind of fights I want. I want to be involved in real fights. Right. Because I'm a real martial artist and I want to fight real martial artists who've been around, who've been in the game for a minute and are able to stay in the game. For one, that's a big part of it. You have to appreciate that. You could have ups and downs, and you're still, he's on top of the game.
Yeah. Nate is amazing though. After an astonishing success that we'll talk about in a second, first of all, he decided to take a break after a 3-year-long layoff, came back into the industry and immediately destroyed a former champion of the organization and a top 10 representative of the welterweight division.
That's crazy.
It's worth mentioning that Anthony
lay off for 3 years, then came out and started whooping ass.
Was on a roll at that moment. The knockout against Stephen Thompson speaks for itself. But Nate literally doesn't care about all of that. Simply a legend. Number 1. Conor McGregor.
Conor McGregor, you're taking everything I work for, mother. I'm gonna fight your. You know what's the real fight? What's the real money fight? Is me.
And at the number 1 spot, we have one of the greatest upsets in the entire history of mixed martial arts. In 2016, the whole world got to know who Nate Diaz is and what he represents. As you remember, after beating Michael Johnson, the Stocktonian called out the notorious Irishman. As for Conor, at that time he was planning to move up to lightweight and fight Rafael dos Anjos for the 2nd belt. But in the end, the stars aligned in Nate's favor.
So Acorn is a financial tech company, so I bought everyone's gifts today.
Due to RDA's injury. Diaz came out on a short notice on March the 5th of 2016 at UFC 196.
They're all on
The only
steroids.
weight I care about.
They're all on steroids.
The only weight I care about. Steroids? What are you talking about steroids? Don't be putting my name in steroids. I'm majored against that. Don't put my name in the name of steroids, Nate. I'm not on no steroids. What the f*** are you talking about? Your 2 teammates were on steroids. That's your 2 boys, the scrap pack. Remember that? Well, damn, they were. Did you know they were taking that stuff? Did you know they were taking that stuff? Did you?
You're on steroids.
Sure I am.
Good for Dana.
He even tried to pick on John Anik the other day. He has a bully mentality until a real man shows up. Like Mike Tyson said, he's scared of the real man.
John Anik, fuck you. How about that?
A mutual animosity between the guys, cooped up with a bit of trash talk to stir up the excitement, did its job more than successfully. That event happened to be the most anticipated one of 2016, if not counting the subsequent rematch, and the biggest one in recent times.
Hey, I'm here to kill or be killed in Stockton, California. This little bitch. Fuck you.
It's another day for me. One pulls out, another one steps in. I'm used to it. I was just giggling at his little soft body. I've never seen a skinny guy. How can a fat guy be so skinny at the same time? It amuses me, but I'm looking forward to go in there, put the martial arts back into the game.
That exact fight that made Nate Diaz who he is till this very day lasted for only 9 minutes and 12 seconds. That's how much time the impudent son of Stockton needed to take absolutely every shot from Conor McGregor, drain him and make him tap closer to the end of the 2nd round.
Hey, I'm not surprised.
I'm at the top, so it's their call what's next. We'll see what happens.
It was Diaz who happened to be the first fighter to stop the notorious one in the world's best league and dispel his aura of invincibility floating around him. And that was the moment when the general public got to know who Nate Diaz truly is. Extra spot, Leon Edwards. When we talk about the best performances of the impudent Stocktonian, we can't help but mention this fight. The clash with Leon Edwards, who is by the way the undisputed welterweight champion right now, took place on June the 12th of 2021. At that moment, Diaz was coming back from his loss to George Masvidal, while Rocky fought just recently. In March of the same year, the Englishman faced Bilal Muhammad, but the fight had to be stopped due to an accidental eye poke. The guy shared the octagon at UFC 263.
No, I try to take the person out the whole fight whenever I can. Because the distance, I always prep to get to be ready for that too, and we'll see what happens.
Sure, the legendary Stocktonian did not pull off an upset in this fight like the previous cases in this video. However, he was extremely close to doing it. Just think of how the future of the welterweight class would have unfolded if Diaz ultimately pushed Leon Edwards and finished him in the final round. It's hard to believe that the veteran almost knocked out the guy who is the current champion and who beat Kamaru Usman twice. A true legend. The Stocktonian 1-2 is one of the most underrated combinations in MMA.
In a real fight, in the real world, that fight's a wrap. So, yeah, he was sleepwalking.
Right now, the legendary Stocktonian is about to debut in the boxing ring. As far as we know now, he is supposed to fight Jake Paul for 8 rounds, somewhere around the end of the summer. Knowing the spirit and the approach of the Diaz brothers towards the competition, there are no doubts that we are about to see an exciting rivalry. So we wish Nate luck in the upcoming fight from the bottom of our hearts.
I don't know. I think that's enough, man. That's good enough for the day. I'm over it.
29-0. Who was that?